because in this week's weekly installment, it feels like, of Nathan Cries Cavill, it seems like there may actually be some news on the Henry Cavill front this time around. And it can't come any sooner because it feels like I've been crying out for this for 7 or 8 years now. But with the Warner Bros. Discovery merger, their priorities are all over the place. But supposedly, David Zaslav and his team are very much focused on the DC side of stuff and getting it back on track to what, frankly, the franchise deserves. So reportedly, the sentiment going around within Warner Bros. Discovery with upper brass is they're talking about scrapping all current Superman projects in development. The J.J. Abrams produced one, the Michael B. Jordan starring one, and scrapping all Superman stuff and starting over with the Henry Cavill-led Superman movie. And the skies opened up and God said, I love you, Alfalfa, because this... It's not confirmation yet. I'm not going to be one of those people that be like, it's confirmed. It is not confirmed because we're not that type of movie site around here. But this is positive news. I have been saying since the merger, I think it was telling when David Zaslav was like, yeah, Discovery, we acquired Warner Bros. For this vast catalog that we have of DC characters, and he started with Superman. He's got the right mindset. But also, Zaslav understands, as much as we may not like the movies, Henry Cavill was not the problem. He never was the problem. It was the writing associated with it. I like most of Man of Steel, except for the second half and Pa Kent. You can distill everything wrong Superman by how good or how bad the Pa Kent character is. And as much as I like Kevin Costner as an actor, he's a bad Pa Kent, and he's the exact opposite of what Pa Kent is supposed to be. Hey, Dad, I saved the school bus full of kids. Maybe you should have let him die, son. That's a good idea. But I'm okay with this if it's a quasi-reboot, because that's kind of what we need. But I completely agree that if they want this universe to succeed, they need Superman to work. So I think scrapping the other two ideas, which could be interesting. Supposedly there was going to be a Michael B. Jordan starring Superman where he was going to be Val Zod, like an alternate universe Superman, and another Black Superman story produced by J.J. Abrams. Both those I think could be interesting, but you would still kind of need a central core iconic Superman as well as those other spin-off ones. Like, secure your own foundation before you start building upon layers. That's why they've kind of scrapped some of the lesser-known DC movies that were coming up, like the Wonder Twins movie. 1, no one asked for it. But 2, those are lesser known characters. Solidify your core before strengthening it out, so to speak. Ivan, I don't think you're as much of a diehard Henry Cavill Superman person as I am, believe it or not. But you see that potentially there's this thing called hope on the horizon. Do you want Cavill back? Or are you kind of like, let's kind of just step away from anything Snyder related, just fresh start?
Well, Cavill is still the only Superman that I feel, or the only actor who is appropriate for Superman right now. He's still the best choice. So I'm all good with keeping him. We just to be completely sure here, we are keeping Man of Steel in the canon, yes?
See, I don't know. I've thought about this before because supposedly the Flash might like scrap everything, but in which case, if we're following comic book logic, Man of Steel did happen, but then like, do you have this new timeline? So like Man of Steel happened and everything we've gotten so far has happened, but then when Flash comes back, Back to the Future 2, does he change the future like he does in Rebirth? Which case, so Man of Steel both did and didn't happen?
The reason that I'm asking is because if we go all the way back to if we retcon all the way back to Man of Steel, is that going to also change Justice League and any other appearance he's ever had? Does that retcon everything that's attached to him? Because without Man of Steel happening, we don't have the presence of Superman. We really do have to start all over, but we also have to retcon everything that was attached to that part of the canon, which is pretty much everything, isn't it?
Yeah, But then again, if we're rebooting everything, we can kind of pick and choose certain elements from Man of Steel. And also, like, if we start over, I don't think Superman is an obscure character that people be like, okay, well, tell me what his backstory is. I think people at this point, like Batman's parents getting shot or Spider-Man seeing Uncle Ben die, people kind of know Superman's general mythos of like orphan
No,
baby come to Earth and then raised by middle American people.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think that I don't think he's on the same level of Batman in terms uh, of how well known his origin story is, because we don't get a lot of that backstory repeated over and over the way that we do when we watch Batman franchises. So,
To be fair, we've had
one
more
more,
Batman than Superman movies, though.
yes, we have, which is why we probably can retell their Superman's origin story and not fall victim to what Batman uh, has fallen victim to in that repetitive thing. But if we want to retcon all the way back to that and just scrap Man of Steel altogether, I'd be okay with that as long as we go over the origin story one more time. And it doesn't have to be like the whole first act of the movie. You know, it can be a mention in the beginning of the movie or just like a really brief thing before we cut to him on Earth.
Yeah, I think some reestablishing of if you're going to tweak some stuff with his origin or kind of reshape his origin a little bit, give some exposition of just like here's the major cliff notes of the things that we changed. If it was up to me, his dad would still be alive. Just because I like seeing both of his parents alive just for a little bit. Eventually his parents have to die because they're human. And also, if his dad does die eventually, he should die of natural causes, not a stupid tornado, because Superman has to learn that death is inevitable and you can't save everyone, especially if your dad is stupid and goes after the family dog and tells people to go to the most unsafe place that you can be in a tornado, which is under that bridge. I have issues with that scene and with that pocket, but yes, it should be he learns death is inevitable. I can't save everyone. I really do think there's a better chance now than ever that Henry Cavill will come back because there's been such a fan outcry of you and I have talked ad nauseum before of how sick we were of like Snyder fans of just like the Snyder cut, restore the Snyderverse. You had those people wanting Henry Cavill back, but then you had people that didn't like the Snyder movies also wanting Henry Cavill back. So it's this strange uniform front that everyone, no matter what, is like, no. That's the dude that should come back. Very rarely can you get something that everyone really gets behind. That's, I think, part of the reason why Obi-Wan has been the huge success for Disney Plus is everyone on the planet Earth loves Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan and was excited to see him come back. Very few things can people really rally around together, and I think not to the same level as the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan thing, but people just love Henry Cavill in general. He's become an even bigger star than when he first was in Man of Steel, like Mission Impossible, The Witcher, Enola Holmes to a certain extent. He's a huge name now. But like you brought up with He's Perfect casting, it's so hard to find an actor that embodies the Clark and the Superman. I think it's harder to find a Superman than it is to find a Batman. Because Superman, you have to have this big physicality, but also at the same time be able to a certain extent, hide that physicality, whether it's hunching or your general posture. And I think Cavill is really good at both. So I'm very much, obviously, very much wanting him to come back. It's just a matter of what do we choose to do with him this time? You could potentially have a fresh start with him. Where do you go with this? If Ivan's a writer, since Ivan's a writer, the better question, if you were a DC writer, which means, I don't know if I trust you. If you were a DC writer and were tasked with a Superman reboot, what's your general outline? What would you do this time around to differentiate it?
I would probably this is going to be really this is going to be something that everybody says, but I absolutely stand by it. I would not darken it so much, uh, because Superman is not a dark character.
Preach.
Superman is being a symbol of hope. He is supposed to be a lighter character. He is supposed to be not so damn heavy. So he's supposed to be what takes the heaviness out of something, not what puts it in. So that's the biggest thing that I would change. Tone is going to be everything when it comes to most superheroes, most superhero movies. It's what makes Batman what it is. It's what makes everything what it is. So lighten the damn tone. Let's have this be what it's supposed to be and have him be the symbol of hope he's supposed to.